Hello, music lovers and conversationalists. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm excited to answer a challenge by my good friend Gary, who recently nominated me to make a video for Jason over at SPINZ Vinyl, who is having a thread right now. And in the thread, he wants us to show an album from each decade in your collection and also to nominate 3 people to make videos for the thread. And the 3 people that I have here, the 3 nominees, are good friends of mine, and I think they would all make stellar videos. The first one is Chris Profi over at Chris Profi Musically Obsessed. Next we have Greg over at 3 Dimensions of Music, and Mike from MGK Boston. And once again, I was nominated by my good friend Gary over at Physical Format Rock and Roll. And I am looking forward to seeing more threads on this, or responses on this thread. And without any further delay, here are my picks. I have about 7 albums, I think. And the farthest back that I could go, and just picking them randomly off the top of my head, was the 1950s. And that's beginning with one of the most legendary performers of all time, Elvis Presley, and it is his debut LP from RCA, and this was released in March of 1956, and it really changed the scene for rock and roll and music for the better, and I'm happy to have this in my collection. Not number 2, but coming in representing the 60s is a piano player who developed what is called the Nashville sound, or helped develop it, and really is known for the slip note style of piano playing, and that can be described as where it sounds like you're making a mistake on one of the notes and quickly fix it. And this is the legendary country western piano player Floyd Kramer, and this is the album Last Date, which was released in 1960. What's interesting about this particular song, Last Date, is that it peaked at number 2, and the song itself was only blocked by the song Elvis recorded, Are You Lonesome Tonight, which ironically, or coincidentally, I don't know, take your pick, has Floyd Kramer on piano in that. So Floyd Kramer, in a way, blocked Floyd Kramer from being number 1. So it's kind of a funny story if you think about it. Representing the 70s is one of my all-time favorite, if I had to put a top 10, and maybe I will bring that back someday, top 10 lists. This artist I credit for my love of all things blues. I remember listening to this album on CD for the first time, and it just knocked my socks off, and really blew up my eardrums. And it's Hound Dog Taylor and the House Rockers, and it is an album that is simply called Natural Boogie. And this band is one of the most electrifying bands in Chicago blues. They're one of the most uplifting blues bands you're ever going to hear, bar none. And if you haven't heard this album, this is an album to have in your collection. And it is off on the infamous Alligator Records. Try to get a good shot in there. And that album is representing the 70s. Moving on to the 80s is an artist that I have in my top 3 artists that I want to see. And maybe I guess it is top 3. I hope I get to see her at some point, and it is none other than Joan Jett's album, the famous yellow covered album, and it's just one of my favorites of hers. It's the first Joan Jett album that I ever bought on vinyl, CD, or cassette, and I'm just happy to have this in my collection and tonight representing the 80s. Moving on to the 90s, we have an album that just recently celebrated its 25th anniversary. I do not have a copy of this on vinyl from its original release date back in 1997, but the name of the album, and there's a song on here that I'll mention in a minute, that put this artist on the map and really set things in motion, and that is for his career, and that is the awesome Kenny Wayne Shepherd and his album Trouble Is. And this is the assigned copy, and it's the 25th anniversary. And you may all know the song Blue on Black, and if you haven't, go check it out. It's a killer song, and this album is a killer album. Representing the 2010s, I guess that's how we say it. I haven't heard any other way of saying that decade, but this man recently just celebrated a birthday, and I believe it was his 87th. I saw him back in June celebrating his Damn Right Farewell Tour, and if you haven't guessed who that is yet, it is the legendary Buddy Guy, one of the last living legends of the early days of the Chicago blues, and this is his album from 2010, Living Proof. This is, as you can see, a 3-sided double disc album, obviously, and what's cool about it, and I'll show you real quick, is you got the standard A and B copy here. I won't bother taking that out of the sleeve, but on the C and what would be D, this is the real treat. There's an etching. Make sure I hold this up correctly. And it is, without any glare, hopefully, a real cool etching here of, and it's not really coming in that well, but it just has all the, it looks like the title tracks on here, well, song tracks on here, I should say, of the album, but it's just a really cool find for my collection. And I apologize for the etchings not coming in that well. And last but not least, we have an album that was released back on, I think it was March 17th, right around there, March 15th of this year. It's off of the Gulf Coast Records, and I could not make a video picking an album representing a specific decade, specifically the 2020s, without mentioning my two favorite guitarists, Albert Castiglia and, of course, Mike Zito. This is their explosive debut album together called Blood Brothers, and again, it's off the Gulf Coast Records label. If you don't have this in your collection, I strongly urge you to pick this up. You will not be disappointed. It's blues rock at its finest. You have Joe Bonamassa as a producer, also Tinsley Ellis, who was a legendary blues artist, guitarist, singer-songwriter, contributed a song to the album, and it is called, it just slipped my mind, of course. It is Tooth and Nail, and that has been played on B.B. King's Bluesville a lot. So there are my albums, my challenge, if you want to call it that, from my accepted challenge from my good friend Gary over at Physical Format Rock and Roll. And again, my 3 nominees for making a video for this thread are Chris Prophy over at Musically Obsessed, Greg at 3 Dimensions of Music, and of course, Mike over MGK Boston. Those are all good friends of mine. And this is my video for Jason over at SPINZ Vinyl. Jason, awesome idea for a thread. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I will talk to you all soon. Hope you have a good rest of the weekend wherever you are. Take care. Bye-bye.